thermonuclear Ian next to me, emanating so much heat.
If you don't know that about me, I burn up. I can take my temperature, and I am only 98.6 degrees or whatever I'm supposed to be, but it certainly doesn't ever feel like that.
No.
It's because my body is doing a bang-up job of radiating all of that extra heat off of me. But, I mean, that's one of the things Vonnie loves about me in the winter, is that I radiate heat. I've had people who came into the store notice it. All my friends pointed out, and you notice it every winter. You walk by me, or I sit
sweating.
down, and it's like you have a space heater.
It's 50 degrees out, and I'm sweating.
Yeah.
Welcome to the CU Podcast Super Show.
Always hot, Ian Ferguson.
Mildly
sassy and sweaty Pat Country.
There you go. It's January 30th.
It is. We almost didn't get it in this month, but we did.
One of the worst months of the year is usually January, in my opinion.
I fucking hated it. January's been miserable.
August, January, we can just cut out of our calendars. On the show today, we'll be discussing the very real game awards.
Yeah.
And also Nintendo's very enthusiastic reveal of their new console.
A lot of enthusiasm in that one. Sure was.
They were raring to go in that one.
They were so fucking pumped. I was like, fucking shut up. Here's your handful of birdseed. Peck around for a bit.
Oh man. It's been like 7 weeks. It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
On here I got it.
It's been a while.
Well, thank God for that.
You didn't miss that. What's happened since the last podcast? Flea Market Madness 50 came out. 50.
So was that before or after the last podcast? Were you just talking about how it was coming up? Oh yeah, because you hadn't put it out yet on the last podcast.
And then Pat said I'll need to enjoy it in my winter holidays. Then I had an NES Punk episode come out. It was technically still Christmas in Hawaii. I checked the time zone. It counts.
Nice.
It counts. So it came out. I was up till like 1 a.m. doing it, or 2 a.m. to make sure it was out, and did like the premiere. I'm like, I'm a fucking maniac. This is Christmas, and I'm doing this work.
You are a maniac.
Ian didn't watch it, but go watch it.
I don't.
It's the tongue-in-cheek holiday gift guide. And actually, since Pat puts out, I put effort into this stuff, believe it or not. I don't care if 2 people see it. I actually put them all on my Shopify page, like all that stack of shit and other stuff. I did a Shopify listing for all those.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And I didn't have them actually for sale, but people are like, oh my God, they were sold out. I could have probably sold some of these things. But I am pricing out a chunk of my collection. I've been doing that for the last couple of weeks.
Why don't you hit them with where they can hear about it? About it.
You can hear about it. Hear about it.
Whoo, got ahead of my
your train of thought.
Yeah.
Go to patreon.com/CU podcast, and you don't have to listen to it right now, but we talk about that in the exclusive podcast.
You can pause it right now and then come back.
You haven't seen us in almost 2 months, but hey, it's like we never left.
Never did.
Also came out between the last podcast and now was a Secret Level, which is garbage. Not all garbage, but we learned that the basis of most of Secret Level,
mostly horseshit,
mostly was paid for commercials.
Yeah, it's commercials.
Remember when me and Ian were arguing about that weird Pac-Man thing? Well, that's a real game from Atari coming out.
We weren't arguing.
Well, you said this looks interesting. I'm like, no, this is not a Pac-Man. So they are doing that exact IP-ish thing where you have to garble up things until bloody. It's an Atari game they're actually making.
Right. That's great.
And that's why it was a Secret Level episode. So it was a sponsored advertisement, basically. So, yeah. And the Unreal episode
was the least bloody, you said?
It was like the least bloody of the 3 or 4. I watched, what was it, the one, there was a one martial arts one. What game was martial arts in there? I forget. Which was interesting. It was every time he died in real life, he would get up and be like 10 years older. Is that a game series that exists, or that actually happened?
I don't know, but that would be interesting if it was.
So he got revenge, but then he traded basically his natural life for revenge because now he's an old man because he died taking out all the foes.
Right.
So it was an interesting premise.
Yeah, that's not a bad premise. I'm trying to think of what game that would be, though. I don't know.
So it was very violent.
Okay.
Unreal Tournament was not somehow violent. It was just
makes no sense.
It was just a cliche sci-fi sort of dystopian thing where, I'm going to spoil it, the whole basis of the episode was the robot workers on the asteroid, one gained sentience and now wants to rebel, so they take him out, and then that's one of the team leaders in the Unreal Tournament in the arena. And so now that's, yeah, exactly.
Okay, sure.
Cliche, yeah.
Sure.
That was it. Superman teaser came out, Ian.
I kind of liked it. I like it. Yeah,
I'm into it.
I am too. I think it's not going to be that bad.
And then for Ian, that's like 9 out of 10.
It's huge. It's the first DC movie trailer I've watched in a while where I was like, yeah, all right. I mean, I'll watch that.
I'll pay $20 to see
I'll
it.
go see that. That's fine.
I like the fact that they're like, fuck it. We're not, no more Origin. We're going to throw you into it. And all, 1,000 heroes already exist. The Lantern Corps is already in there. They exist.
Right.
They're doing a separate series that ties in. You have all the other, some Justice League characters are in there. They had Hawkgirl in there. They had all these other characters that I don't even know who they are. But like that to me is a lot more interesting. We're gonna, what Superman is. What
it's 2025. We know
the character is 85 years old. You know what the character is.
Yeah, we know what we're doing. We know where we're going. We know what's gonna. Yeah, we've got this. It's okay.
Yeah, now we're just gonna. There was a monster in there, a kaiju sort of thing. That's cool. They show Superman having like difficulty because like his android friend is torn in half. So there's some pathos in there, and you got the little dog.
We get the dog.
And some people are probably like, why do you have a dog? It's silly. Movies should be a little silly.
Comic books are silly. Like, even the most serious ones are silly. They're comics.
Listen to the GOAT, Richard Donner, verisimilitude. Even if it's silly, you treat it... I'm serious.
Yes. No, I know.
Even if it's silly, you treat it seriously.
You gotta treat it seriously.
And the audience will come along for the ride. And that's why Superman the movie is still awesome, because he defined that as like, this is how Superman...
Because when you're watching it, you're not thinking, I'm watching this man fly around in his pajamas.
Yes.
You're watching a good movie.
Yes. God, they kind of... Yeah. Richard Donner, I still love the man. I don't know why I love him more than I should. Oh, man. I'm going to start tearing up.
You are a big Donner fan.
Yes.
Big Donner fan. Big Donner fan. Big.
And I hear they might finally be doing a Goonies sequel, even though now they're old enough to be grandparents.
Okay, well, we
almost.
don't need that.
That should have happened 15 years ago.
We don't need the Goonies sequel, just like we didn't need the Lost Boys sequels.
There was a Lost Boys sequel?
Oh, yeah. This shit is all too little, too late.
But you could have done the Goonies sequel with the children now doing it.
Yes.
With the parents helping them out. Like, it made sense, because they're all still alive, and, But now they're like, well, now Sean Astin's like closer to 50 than 40, so now it's like, do you do it?
It'll be very bad if they do it.
Really
they
bad?
should have done it when they first started talking about it, in like the early 2000s, I think, was when there was rumblings of it.
Just like with the original Indiana Jones sequel, supposed to be like 99, 2000. Indiana Jones and the City of God was supposed to be they had a fucking script done that everyone loved except Lucas. So of course they didn't do it. It probably would have been amazing.
What a guy that guy is. A weirdo.
Ugh.
What a weird man.
Don't make fun of Lucas. He wants to sit in a mall eating Asian food. Remember that picture of him in a mall eating food with the rest of the humanoids, as Bobby the Brain would say?
A succulent Chinese meal.
Speaking of goats, I cried when Bobby the Brain died. I cried when Savage died, Randy Savage, and Bobby the Brain. I cried. I broke down a little bit for Bobby the Brain. Seriously, I did.
I think I cried a little bit when Anthony Bourdain died. That was
did?
probably the big one for me. Yeah. I was upset when Macho Man died. I was like,
No, I teared up a little bit. That was a big part of our childhood.
Yeah.
And obviously the Brain was.
Especially, I mean, not a shitty fucking way to go.
With who?
Macho Man.
Because
heart attack and car accident. Yeah.
Yeah, because like then maybe he would have survived. Who knows what?
Yeah, it was a double whammy.
Warrior died a day after he was on Raw. When he came back, he had a heart attack the next day and died. He knew he was dying.
I forgot about that.
He died the next day. It was like the weirdest thing. Anyway, Sega wants to do a game subscription service.
Tonal whiplash. Yeah. So they want to do a subscription service, and okay, I mean, they can if they want to. The article from Game Rant starts, referencing like the Sega channel, and basically, I'm just going to say that. So it says that they're thinking about launching their own Netflix-style video game subscription service, and then Shuji Utsumi, the COO of Sega, said, "We are thinking something and discussing something." Utsumi added that we cannot disclose right now. While details on the matter are scant, the Sega subscription service, if it ever becomes realized, could have significant implications on the current gaming market. Followed by, in bold, Sega launching its own subscription service could shake up the gaming landscape. No. I love Sega. It's not shaking up anything with a subscription gaming service. It's not. I mean, that's like saying fucking. That's like saying Paramount shook up the fucking movie streaming service with Paramount Plus. We're beyond a streaming service shaking things up right now.
We're trying to
eliminate some of these, not add more.
And actually, some of them are merging with each other now because they realize there's too many of them. We should actually team up. They're becoming like cable stations, kind of.
Yeah.
So we've gone through that arc. We fast forward that arc in about 6 years only of streaming services to that.
That said, I will just say that I do think Sega has more under its banner than people realize right now. They've acquired a lot of smaller developers and companies over the years. So, there was some joking going around, and it's funny, and I agree, that, you're basically going to get the Mega Drive classic games thrown out there. You're going to get a bunch of, you're going to get yet another way to play Streets of Rage 2, as if anyone needs another.
You're going to get some SG-1000s that never came out here.
But, I mean, in terms of modern stuff, when they acquired Atlas, they did get, like, the Persona series and some of the more popular, bigger hitter RPGs. So I'll give them credit. It's not that they don't have games. It's just that no one needs another streaming service, and Sega's library, I don't think, would be enough to warrant an entire one. Subscription service, not a streaming service. I mean, Nintendo basically has a subscription service for its games. It's Switch Online, and
it has Sega games.
And it has Sega games. And I mean, that didn't shake up the fucking industry. It's just like some bonus shit.
Oh, it's silly, but I guess I have to.
I know. Yeah, I mean, who wrote this article?
This is from Game Rant. Adiz Gunnar.
I'm not making. I mean, that's the job. You gotta spice this up any way you can. But
print media is dying out.
But Sega launching its own subscription service could shake up the gaming landscape. Is bold.
We always talk
statement.
If you took Sonic out of the equation with Sega, they would almost be on Atari level in terms of like.
That's a bit much. They have good games, but it's just.
You're struggling though in terms of like recognizable stuff that's going to carry you through the decades. You caught fire with the Sonic trilogy. Congratulations, Ian. And there's going to be a fourth movie. I don't know how much more of the lore they can fit into these movies, but you're going to get Sonic 4 because they keep making money.
Well, I mean, if Sega did a game streaming service, it could be interesting if they went back and actually, ported more Dreamcast games instead of the 4 that they did officially like 15 years ago, which was Bass Fishing, Crazy Taxi, Space Channel 5 Part 2, Jet Set Radio, and so there was 5 in Sonic Adventure. There are people who would love ports of Dreamcast games and things like that, but Sega's not going to do that if they make that. I don't see, if Sega starts the streaming service, I don't see them actually putting much effort into it. They're just going to dump the same shit.
Stuff you get
they have ported everywhere, or keep in mind it's more than the Genesis, but yeah, it's going to be the stuff you can grab off of Steam. And things like that. I don't think they're going to go...
Or the little mini arcade stuff that they have
for their classic stuff, yeah. And I'm trying to look up some of the properties they have now that are more modern and, somewhat popular. The 2 Point Simulation series, Virtua Fighter, and then acquired franchises. They do have some good stuff. Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, Puyo Puyo, the Devil Summoner stuff. So all of the like I said, the big... Atlas RPGs, but that's really about it. I mean, yeah. I'm struggling at that point.
Well, I guess we'll see. If this changes the gaming landscape in the future.
You know where you don't need a subscription? UltimateNintendo.com. Take it away, Patrick.
I mean, no, I'm not going to charge you $30 to shop for things there. Absolutely not. I'm not going to do that. But you can find some, if you want to spend $30 on a digital version of a certain N64 guidebook, you can do that. Or, go for $70 for the physical version. And a special edition as well. We got RBI baseball stickers, enamel pins for the podcast. We got podcast stickers. We got the Danny Sullivan sticker.
Got a Danny Sullivan sticker.
Does well at the conventions, believe it or not, still. Ian gets his cut. He's happy. He gets extra burrito money.
I'm happy.
All the time. All at Ultimate Nintendo. I miss Ian podcast energy because I'm going to pull the curtain back. Ian doesn't have this energy talking to me anytime else except on the podcast.
I save it up.
He says he doesn't want to burn through it. He knows he's saving it for you. Screw Pat. He's saving all this energy for you.
Well, I joke with my friends because some of my friends have noticed I've gotten a little bit quieter, and it's like I mean, back when we did this weekly, I would do 2 podcasts a week. I yell enough. I yell enough for...
Well, I'm not asking for you to be at a 9.5 right now. You can be at a 7. I don't ask for Ian to be at a 9. But I think this is Ian sort of exercising demons in a way, and it's making up for being maybe introverted as a child. I don't know. Like, this is like a good exercise for you.
It's just stuff.
You should be paying me for therapy.
No, I shouldn't.
Through the podcast for the past 15 years.
I should not. You can pay me for therapy.
11 years that we've been doing this. And we stream. Ian streams the classics on Thursday, the best hits from the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
I stream House on Thursdays or Fridays. I might even do it after this episode.
Oh, okay.
We'll see.
And where's that, Ian?
twitch.tv/PXLSICLE. Usually on Thursdays around 4 p.m. PST, but whenever. Subscribe.
Ian's so good at self-promotion.
You'll get an alert.
It's amazing.
You'll get an alert when I forget to alert you.
And then every Wednesday, for the most part, I'm up to episode of almost 250 streams of retro TV commercials from the 70s, 80s, and those dirty 90s.
Some fucking time. 5 years?
5 years when I started during the pandemic.
Yeah, that's right.
One of the best things I decided to do. You know, I decided to do one big project that's not announced yet. That's still ongoing. An N64 book that almost killed me that Ian knows about. And I started streaming. That's what I did with my time. I don't know what that eyebrow raise means.
I love to throw eyebrow raises at people.
I don't know what the hell that
really
is.
Throws them off. It's almost like pinching them.
Okay, don't touch me right now.
I'm not gonna.
But at Country Code,
You're sweaty.
Country Code, you're like 3 layers deep here. You probably have a slime layer.
I'm just wiggling. I can't sit still. I'm hot as shit. It's been a week.
Probably a pool of something underneath your pants.
Yeah, pretty dry.
Pretty dry.
Pretty dry.
Using that Mando.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Well, it's not antiperspirant. All right. Doom PDF.
So this is the Doom port stuff that I'm talking about. The real interesting nitty gritty shit. Like, why are we doing this?
It's not the one cell thing that was like.
I mean, that's actually pretty cool too.
Yeah, but that wasn't a game.
It's constantly loading it onto, whatever. I spend most of my time in PDFs at work. I'm a real PDF junkie, hardcore PDF
you
user.
got that Adobe Acrobat Pro?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
I'm
your subscription.
a real fucking whiz with it. Anyways,
Get that Grammarly account going.
I hate Grammarly.
What?
I hate it. Anyways,
Oh,
they
yeah.
ported Doom Episode 1 Map 1 to a PDF file. A PDF file, Patrick. So basically, they harnessed JavaScript inside a browser's PDF reader to port Doom to a PDF file. This is from IGN. While the official specification for a PDF allows for more sophisticated scripting, security concerns in browsers cut things down, but it was enough to still port Doom over to the format, which is cool. So I will probably have to try this tomorrow.
Who did this?
This was done by, I thought I said, Aiding 2210, who is a high school student, in quotes.
GitHub user and high school student. This person's going to take over the world, I think. They can do this. Inspired by a recent port of Tetris named Tetris PDF. So this is a whole subgenre.
Yeah.
It's a new platform of gaming inside a PDF. And yeah, of course, it's like in black and white. There's a video of it you can watch here. But no, it's amazing.
80 milliseconds per frame drawn on screen. But still.
So it's basically like you're playing an Etch-a-Sketch that's constantly redrawing. That's basically how I'm looking at it. Etch-a-Sketch Doom. That's what's going to be next. I'm surprised if someone hasn't done that. Someone probably has. Etch-a-Sketch
Yeah.
Doom. Just draw.
Remember those old video Etch-a-Sketches? The ones that you could animate?
No, I wasn't privileged enough to have.
I mean, I didn't have one.
I didn't have an Etch-a-Sketch.
I didn't have one. I saw them. There was ones where you could make simple animations.
Yes.
And it was you drew with pixels, black and white pixels instead of. But you still used the knobs and shit.
So you could do it.
I wonder. Well, that would probably be one where they would just have to hack a way to stream it to the screen and like down-res it. But I wonder if it's possible.
I'm gonna look up Etch-a-Sketch Doom right now.
I think it was Video Etch-a-Sketch.
Can you run Doom on an Etch-a-Sketch? It's Reddit gaming thread. It's been done. So
Animated, yeah.
I don't know if is this animated? Let's see. It's on Reddit. Etch-a-Sketch Doom.
Or they just draw.
They drew a screen of Doom.
Okay, that's still pretty cool.
It's still cool. So it's not running, but
Etch-a-Sketches were awesome.
I wouldn't know, Ian.
I kind of want one.
All my cousins had one.
Kind of want one now. It's been a minute. $15 for a classic Etch-a-Sketch. Why the fuck not? Get 2.
Yeah, that's
one for the bathroom as well.
I'm trying to downsize. You're adding things to my hysteria of not having these things as a child, Dean. You're counteracting my therapy.
Very sorry.
Right now.
Very sorry.
You're going against what you wanted. Speaking of Sega, we should have paired this up with the other Sega thing. Alejandro Martin, who's spearheading the definitely not scammy Super Sega FPGA console. It's definitely not a scam. Definitely not. He did an interview called Wildest Interview Ever, and I did watch this all that a month ago. With it's from the Ian IAIN. Is that still Ian and Catherine podcast?
I guess.
Is that in Gaelic? IAIN? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably. Yeah. Anyway.
So what? So my main takeaway is I'm trying to remember it all, but obviously he showed the board. I remember him ignoring questions from them saying about, well, people have questions about this and that. And he sort of danced around like, hey, shouldn't there be more chips on the board and things going on?
Yeah, I mean, the long story short is it's just more of the same bullshit. But from what I remember, the two interviewers don't really necessarily buy it, or they seem skeptical. And I remember him wearing his shitty suit, I am looking at now, and smoking a cigarette.
And then there's a follow-up on the same channel, the Ian Lee channel, titled Super Sega Alejandro Cheats Death - more BS from the lunatic. So I think Ian stop giving the benefit of the doubt to Alejandro.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad.
Cheats death. What am I missing here?
Imagine that. Someone talking to someone about a console they're making and not giving them the benefit of the doubt.
I guess Alejandro...
remaining skeptical.
I guess Alejandro Martin posted something where he said like he's in bad shape or something. So he's like almost joking at this being a scam.
There's some pretty funny comments, too. To those who have supported the Super Sega project, the booze and cigarettes is where all the money went.
And again, if you gave credit card access to this individual, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be allowed to be owning any credit cards, but you got to really think about these things in the future. You have to think about.
Someone points out that he puts the cigarette out on the floor.
I mean, it's almost performance art. I almost have to hand it to him if he wasn't scamming people.
Right. I feel like he's trying to lean into the performance art aspect of it, but still taking money, which you're still
scamming
scummy.
people.
Yeah.
So it's like you've scammed people. You lied to people.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out the Ian Lee, IAIN Lee, I guess podcast. I don't know what else this person does, but yeah, there you go. You can look into that. There's the Superstation PS1 FPGA console that is taking pre-orders, Ian.
No, it's sold out.
It's sold out?
Yeah, it took pre-orders. It's sold out. It's going to get another run at some point. I signed up for one because I was interested. Basically, what the Superstation 1 is, if you don't know...
Where's my link? I had a link. It's gone.
It's I didn't touch it. It's the Superstation 1, not PS1.
Oh.
It's meant to look like a PS1, but it's not necessarily just supposed to be it's not really advertised as a PlayStation, like a PlayStation FPGA console.
Sure.
What it's supposed to be is a competitor to the Mister. Misters now cost around $300. The goal with the project was to get this down to just about as cheap as possible, which is, I believe, the pre-order price, which I signed up for and did not bite on, was $150. So this is an attempt to just kind of take that Mister market and get it into more people's hands. Looks like that maybe there were some questionable corners cut here based on notes that you have, but all in all, I mean, I have no real issue with the product, and I'm interested in getting one at some point, but that's probably not for a little while.
Well, okay.
And I do technically have an FPGA console. This would be most comparable to if, Analog was selling, say, the Pocket, but without like a screen and the focus on Game Boy.
Like a Pocket, but it's a console.
Yes, exactly.
Which, I mean, they have a dock for it, which kind of makes it
I mean, I always said that the Pocket was basically Analog's quiet entry into the Mister type market, and that's what this is, the FPGA setup.
But it's I mean, it's a PlayStation format. It has the controller ports of PlayStation.
Yes.
There's a PlayStation.
Yes.
It's for PlayStation games, but you can do more.
That's not the other stuff was more advertised than it would be from someone like Analog, who obviously can't really do that because that's a professional.
I took this as a Analog type of product for PlayStation.
No. But that's what that's what it looks like, but it's really meant to be a Mister that's in a nice case that looks like a PlayStation.
Sure, but they even sell a dock to play PlayStation disc games.
And I'm sure that disc drive will probably, hopefully, end up being used for other emulation at some point. That's just where it's at right now. But it's the way it was developed and talked about was never as a PlayStation 1 analog equivalent. It was always talked about as the first affordable Mister.
Just using that form factor.
Just that form factor and that framework to get, to kind of get the name out there.
Because they say it's the first affordable
FPGA console, and I know where we were talking about it yesterday. You took that as to mean what analog is doing, where this is really more just trying to say this is the first affordable Mister, which is an FPGA console, not one that's trying to do anything. This is simply a console that is full of FPGAs that you load up with cores and use.
Like I said, what's your definition of console? That's what it comes down to. Like what's the semantics of that? So you need to buy the separate dock for disc. This is where I have not a problem with, but they're taking open, almost like the Alejandro Martin thing. You're going to authorize the later purchase of the dock, but they don't have a final price for it yet.
Sure.
So that's the only thing that's kind of dicey. Say, hey, we're targeting like whatever they said, we're targeting like $30, but maybe it's gonna be $40. So obviously,
I will say this: I agree with you there, but I don't think for a lot of people the physical aspect. Well, I also don't feel like a lot of people who buy Misters are doing it to specifically get away from physical games.
Okay. I saw on Twitter some people thinking this was like an analog type product that they're like, hey, I want to play PlayStation.
I can see where that comes from. I just don't. What I'm saying is, I don't think that it was developed to be such.
Here's the caveat:
it was developed to be more of a Mister.
I'm not saying like Sony's going to go after them, but they could legally. This is not, in my opinion, a product that's would be legal if they produced it in the U.S. or anywhere outside. This is produced in Hong Kong, so this is like a Chinese product. That's where the issue is for me, where there is a slight, not danger, but this could be shut down, or this could be something that could be stopped being imported because it's advertised as a pirate machine.
The thing is, it's not proprietary. It uses Mister cores. It operates on all of the Mister. So even if this gets shut down, people who have it are still going to be able to update it.
Oh, I'm just saying, will this actually be able to be imported? That's what I'm saying. Because from talking to a leading FPGA expert, there's no PlayStation core that exists without using Sony copyrighted, BIOS code. It's too complex to write right now, is what I was told. One doesn't exist. The same way how the best emulators, you have to download a Sony BIOS. That's why a lot of those PlayStation emulators technically aren't legal.
Right.
Because they're not done from scratch.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. I mean, you always have to. I mean, that's how Bleem was legal for a while there. It was basically like, hey, this emulates your PlayStation games, but you have to get the BIOS.
Oh, I thought they did it without the BIOS eventually, Bleem. Bleem was in the right. They just got bled out in court, I thought, with Bleem.
Well,
I have that wrong?
No, I thought that was the point, was that it didn't have the BIOS, so it was fine.
Yes. But they still got bled out in court.
Oh, yeah, no, I know they did.
Bleem was totally legal. I own Bleem.
Right.
I use Bleem for Fire Pro and for Driver. Still one of the best freaking driving games ever, most realistic. Going back
that fucking game.
You don't like the first Driver?
No, I couldn't get out of the fucking garage.
Get better, whatever the people say.
I'll call you when I need a ride to the grocery store.
That was
one of them.
I'll say this. If you can get past, you had a minute to do all those driver maneuvers, but if you know how to do that, you were an expert at that, like doing the J turns and everything. Mm-hmm.
My brother got really good at that.
Yeah, I'm not saying Ian. It took me an hour and a half to probably get past that the intro. Yeah, but it taught you how to drive.
Oh yeah, no, I know. It was very interesting in that way that it did. It was more realistic than you would have thought for a game of that sort.
Yes, the way that it shifted with the weight and things like that, it was very well done. Anyway,
and I remember when my brother finally beat that game. That last level took him like a fucking day. And he beat it with like a fraction of a second left on the timer, and he was like, "I'm done."
Yes, you can only do it. Trust me, it took me forever.
Yeah, you had to basically play perfectly.
Yes. Spoilers to a game that came out in '98 or whenever it came out. You somehow the last mission is you have to escort the president, but all the Secret Service think you're kidnapping him. All the cops.
Yeah.
So you have to get away, and I mean, if you get tapped by a car, there's not enough time to complete it.
Nope. It's exactly.
You have to be perfect. And there was no save states with me playing this on Bleem at the time. I just had to constantly. It was not easy. I remember playing it on my computer. back in the house when I was like, probably whatever, like 18 or 19, and I was like, ooh, that was something. I don't want to do that ever again.
No. I mean, I heard those games got worse as time went on, but my brother was like, one was enough for me. Thank you.
One was probably at the time was a minor masterpiece, and then two, I remember people being disappointed by it. It's when you can get out of your car, but it was like trying to be a little GTA, but it didn't work. They weren't there yet with the
Right.
tech. But anyway, that aside, they can get away with this because again, it's not a product that you could market here and sell, or from Europe and sell because of copyright laws. They can say, yeah, this is, you can do whatever you want with this. You can load up ROMs, and you can't do that with most products sold here, but they're going to do it. So there you go. You want to talk Atari? Have you played Atari today, Ian?
No, I haven't.
You see sterilites of Atari games over there on the bottom.
Yeah. No, I have not played any Atari today, but they did announce a new handheld, and it's another My Arcade handheld, which normally would not even register a mention on this podcast because they pump them out so much. But this is another one of those things that Atari is doing that I think falls into the camp of this would almost be cool with a little bit more thought. Just like the 2600 Plus or whatever could have been cool with a little bit more thought, like an FPGA. So they announced this with a short trailer, and there's no mention of how many games, but it's a handheld, think Switch size. And what interests me is the control layout and what that I think says for what they might throw on there. And again, it's just going to be emulated.
What's the control layout? What are we looking at here?
It's got a spinner, a paddle in the top left, your basic D-pad, 4 buttons, 2 flipper buttons, and then it's got a full the full 10-digit numpad with pound and star,
which would have been used by
only 2 things. Well, I mean, unless they're going to put math, fun, and basic programming from the Atari on there, it would only be used by the Atari 5200 and the Jaguar.
But now they have access to Intellivision games. That they could get on there.
Interesting thing about that is it fires the buttons go. Apparently, the buttons will light up based on what game you're playing to show you what controls are used.
Sure.
So neat.
But for some of those games, I don't have all my overlay knowledge in my head. You need a visual representation of some of those buttons to know what they are.
Better than nothing. And interesting.
But like, for example, in ColecoVision, I guess for ColecoVision you can do this as well. You're playing Mousetrap. You have the dog button that you have the overlay. Oh, I hit the dog button to scare off the cats. Gotta love Mousetrap. What a great game.
So I think the design is very cool. The problem with it is this is a My Arcade product. Which you can find at all of your local Targets, and which are just full with crap. The build quality, I've held these before, is generally garbage. So unless My Arcade is going to enter the next level of production, I don't expect this thing to feel high quality. Also, clearly not FPGA. Whatever, it's going to be loaded with emulated games. The only way this would be remotely interesting to me is if it included 5200 games and 7200 Jaguar games that we have not seen yet released elsewhere.
You would hope, because why else would you need a keypad on this thing for?
Well, because there's a small handful of 5200 games on the Atari 50th Anniversary Collection, and there's a small handful of Jaguar games on there. What I'm saying is,
that's what I said. But
I don't have any faith in them adding more to that list. I think they'll probably just dump those games onto that.
That would be, I would hope they'd put the Intellivision that would use.
Oh, yeah, Intellivision. I do feel like they would probably add Intellivision too.
Okay, here's the problem. Here's the issue I have with this. The D-pad, I don't know the quality of these things. I'll take your word for it that it could be suspect.
I feel like you've held these before. You had to have. These things are like...
I don't own one. I don't know.
Sure, but okay.
Looking at it as a handheld, if you're going on the bottom left is where the little trackball is. I guess.
Oh, that's right. I forgot there's a little trackball too.
You'd have to hold it on the bottom corner to put your thumb on it to use the trackball. That I don't know. So you're going to have one hand the top right, one the bottom left. You probably can do it. I don't know how comfortable that would be for you to play like Centipede, for example, with that, if you're actually holding it. The bigger issue is I do not see, unless you have 2 extra fingers, the way to use the top left spinner and hold it, because your thumb and pointer finger, you need 2 fingers, your pointer finger and your thumb to use a spinner. How are you going to hold that at the same time? That's, to me, I'd have to be in person to know how to do that, that could be weird. That's all.
It could be a little
Unless
weird.
you put it on your lap. You put it on your lap, you'd be fine. But this is a handheld. I'm going by the definition of it.
I'm not that worried about the position of the spinner, and I don't think the trackball would be bad, just because we've had D-pads with lower joysticks forever, and I mean, you're just rolling your thumb over it. I think the trackball's fine.
I said trackball. I think would be okay. I don't know you'd be able to actually hold it in front of your face and use that spinner easily.
Problem is, I don't think it's gonna. I mean, I don't think the system would be good enough for us to even lodge that as a complaint.
I'm just saying, right, ergonomically, that's my issue.
I would be excited by this if
let's has a stand, like a switch stand.
Could be.
That could be. I'm giving you ideas, my arcade.
I would be really interested in this if my arcade didn't have a history of garbage, and if Atari didn't have a current, very spotty history, especially on their own hardware releases. I think it's a neat idea. I really do. I think it's kind of slick looking, and I love the idea of having all the controls, because I always talk that one of the problems with Atari games and why a lot of them don't hold up is, one, they're a little too simplistic, but so many of the best ones require their own specialized controllers to actually be playable. This is an acknowledgement of that, and that's a step in the right direction, and I think it's cool. But again, I just have no faith in the product being worthwhile.
All right. I'll say, I mean, put a stand on it, then my complaints about the spinner and trackball go away. And Ian can play Millipede.
And we were are debating what price point might be. Most of the My Arcade stuff goes for between $35 and I want to say $60.
There's no way this will be only $60.
Huh?
There's no way this will be only $60.
No, I feel no. I don't think.
$100
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think the exact price point will be $100. $99.99.
I almost want to do a wager on this. I think it'll be $150. I think they'll be bold. They've been overpricing Ian versus underpricing a lot of this stuff.
Well, I know, but I mean, 100 is already overpricing it.
I'm just saying, though.
It wouldn't surprise me.
You're speaking as a reasonable consumer. I'm thinking of how they priced their stuff the last few years. It's almost always been more than what we thought it was. Going back to the 2600 plus, going back to the Atari VCS new console, we always thought that's too much money. We never said that's, you know what I mean? We almost never said that's on the ball for what we thought it was. It was almost overshooting it.
Right. Yeah.
Speaking of overshooting it, Atari watches, Asteroid anniversary watches. I'm an Asteroid stan, right? It's probably my favorite sort of Atari IP in terms of like, I want to go back and
you
play
really
it.
like it.
I love it. I think the controls are amazing. The game is still incredibly intuitive and fun once you learn the controls.
I don't like a lot of Asteroid. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but you know what one is really good? The Asteroids Deluxe for the Lynx.
Oh yeah, I played that.
Super fun.
Okay.
I love it. Like it's a great, like perfect portable game.
All right, put that on that new Atari My Arcade. So they announced and sold out of several different Atari Asteroids limited edition with different colors. And so what you have is a watch with multicolored asteroids all around with a playfield, and the inner arrow for the clock is your little asteroid ship with a few dots going out like it's shooting, and that's how you're telling time. There's no numbers. There are dots where numbers should be, and $500 for this watch.
Oh, motherfuck.
Again. Overshoot the price, Ian, on what you think they should be charging for these.
Does it state who made the watch?
Let's see. This is from an article from Andrew Liszewski from The Verge. Nubio.
Okay, doesn't ring any bells.
Nubeo. You know, I'm not a big watch guy. I'm not a watch.
Neither am I. You know who is though? Oh,
our pal Steve Lynn.
Our pal Steve Lynn, yeah.
Hey, you need some money to collect watches. It's like collecting for the AES. It's a Neo Geo AES sort of thing. They previously released Space Invaders timepieces. They're available through Nubio's website, which lists each watch's price as being discounted to $499 from $1,650.
Incredible.
So it's a deal at $500.
What a fucking steal. What a steal. What a steal.
And they glow in the dark. They're printed with glow-in-the-dark pigments, so it's usable at night without a light. When I first heard of this, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Maybe it's actually like a digital thing, Ian, where the asteroids bounce around the screen. That would kind of be cool. Still, no. It's just a like the piece, the plastic.
They
piece.
could have done so much more with it to make it neat.
I thought this would be, when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be like a digital watch, because for $500 you can buy like an Apple Watch type of thing. You can buy the cheaper Android type of digital watches that do cool stuff.
Right.
That this is just, I don't know, but they sold out, so I'm an idiot. Keep doing it, Atari. Keep shucking these things out there. Hot sauces. What do I know? You have about 500 people in the world that'll buy this stuff, and that'll pay out whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is.
Dividends.
Well, it is a publicly traded company. I mean, you got to do it. There you go. I don't know what else to say about it. I once you get to the 500 price point, I mean, what are we doing? It should be a smartwatch.
Yeah.
It should be a smartwatch. Is that it for the intro, Ian?
Nope. I've got one more bit of amazing news that I just saw.
It's not on the docket.
Oh, no. This is just in.
Oh, is this an update?
Yeah, it is. You ready? You're going to be so excited. Cade Cunningham's a motherfucking all-star, baby.
I said Detroit's finest. When was the last time Detroit had an all-star? Like 9 years ago? I'm being serious.
I know. I don't recall. I think someone did mention it was like 2019 or something like that. Yeah, but Cade's the fucking shit, so I'm happy to see that. He was talking to Shaq on whatever show that was, and Shaq was like...
Inside the NBA.
Oh, yeah, he was like, if I could pick, you would be an all-star. Oh. So,
well,
yeah.
The coaches picked him as a reserve. And not even the reserve? Like the extra guy? He's like one of the 12, not the 13?
I don't know. It just... the image just says all-star 2025. It shows him. With his name. So happy for him.
You want to buy a ticket? We'll go see the game up in San Francisco. It costs us like $2,000, but we can go.
No,
for the crappy mini tournament format they're doing. By the way, now it's a CU Sports. Adam Silver floated doing 10-minute quarters. No, that would ruin the game for so many reasons I won't get into. I will get into it. You cut the benches down. You won't be able to feel out games anymore. You'd have to play the star players more and burn them out. Awful
no
idea.
one has ever said, in my mind, no one has ever said a basketball game is too long.
No, they always start 20 minutes late. Start the games on time. You're out in 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
2:20. 2.5 hours at most.
I feel like it's some of the most economical sports watching you can do in terms of time spent.
Yeah, the TV timeouts go long sometimes. They build those in that are 2 minutes long sometimes.
A lot of the non-TV games, like a lot of the national games, they can be over and done in 2 hours if
2:15
people are playing. Yeah. You know, there's not a lot of stop.
Not a lot of whistles. You're through it.